welcome to another edition of Beyond Recovery. And today my guest is a mentor of mine, a friend of mine, actually a dear friend of mine. And we've only known each other a couple months. His name is tremendous. His name is Heath Babb. Heath, how are you doing today?
Wonderful, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And so we met. Just going to quickly do the multitasking here, fading on the music. So we met through the Strong Coach community, which is a business mentoring program that we're both in the middle of. And you happen to be, whatever it is, half a year or a year ahead of me as far as, going through the program and where you are with your program. So you were just by happenstance became my mentor through this whole process. And it's just, it's been fantastic to see how many parallels that we have had in our past life and our current life, and there's the dots have very much connected. I've been very privileged and grateful to have you as my mentor. So and thank you for coming on the show today as well.
Yeah, well, you're welcome, and thank you. I'm excited to be here, and I think the privilege is all mine for sure.
Excellent. All right, well, let's get down to it. And this is one of the things that we, just when we're, unpacking our lives and getting to know each other, found that we had some common ground on, the sober life, the recovery. And you, in fact, go on record as saying to everybody listening, you actually you coined the term Beyond Recovery. So that's what we're running with the podcast. We'll see if it continues to go into the business as well. We'll see. But either way, sweet name for the podcast with Beyond Recovery. So without further ado, I'll get into these questions. Let's roll back the clock, Heath, if you will. What was some of your earliest childhood memories of alcohol? Was it in your household, that with parents? What was your first exposure points to alcohol, and how did it affect you in childhood?
Well, I was always told the story at a young age. My mother heard a thump and a crash, and I was, probably just tall enough to reach up to the kitchen table, and had taken my dad's drink, whatever it was, and drank it and slammed it down and ended up hitting the deck. And they said I was asleep for about 48 hours. After that. I really, I don't know how old that was, 5 or 6, I would imagine. So that was really my first, I don't even know that that's a memory, but that was always what I was told. Oh yeah, you had this. And my first memory, I don't even know that it's a clear memory, but I just remember my dad and his family, like alcohol was the thing. If there was a gathering, it was about alcohol.
Interesting. Yeah. So when you were exposed to the gathering, what was your sort of interpretation of the behavior? Like, obviously, are you aware that he's getting loud, a little bit goofy, a little bit playful? Like, what was your interpretation of that as a youngster?
I think I imagine the interpretation there was that, oh, you add this to be you.
Oh,
right. In order for you to really be able to, enjoy yourself and open up around people, even your family, or maybe especially your family, you need to add alcohol.
that's wow. I've never heard somebody say it like that. And yeah, no, for sure, especially when you're young like that, and to see that, an otherwise stoic family member potentially is now all of a sudden just opening up. Yeah, I could see that. That's wow, that's actually quite a profound memory to think of it that way. So fast forward into your teenage years. I mean, generally speaking, teenage years can get fairly experimental for folks. What did that look like for you in your high school days, getting into the early 20s and early adulthood? Like, what kind of relationship formed with alcohol at that stage of your life?
Use and abuse.
Okay.
That was it, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend recently tell me that, I like the way I explained it, like we are allergic to alcohol, and the allergic reaction we have is that you just need more, right? Once you have that taste. And I don't remember dates and times. Years have always been a challenge for me, but I know that at least by junior high, we were in the sand pits of Maine drinking beers, and definitely before my senior year having a blackout. and then just continuing on that path really for, until I was 32.
Right. Wow. What is it with the, by the way, I had sand pits right behind my house too. What is it with like nature and seemingly like sand pits? There was always we called them pit parties. People bring like
Yep.
pallets down there and just have these massive parties. I mean, I imagine it's because, you're away from parents, but it just seems like every beginning story is like you grab that half a cigarette that like your dad left out and you run into the forest. Like, why is it always in the forest? Does it seem like that with you as well?
Well, especially where we grew up, and I
Okay.
imagine the same for you up there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was where you went to. I mean, that's where you
Yeah.
went to. That was safety, right? Get out in
Totally.
the
Yeah.
woods.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like I think I'm sure we talked about this in one of our previous conversations, but yeah, I literally I hopped the fence and it was like forest, went right down
Yeah.
to the Fraser River, and then like connection points to my friends' houses 15 minutes down the way was through that forest. So I could just like, instead of walking on, Fraser Drive, I would just go through the forest and cut through the bush, then come up in their cul-de-sac, right? And this is like so cool. So yeah, I kind of neat experience that way. So when you said, okay, so you said 32. So what happened when you were 32? What was it? What was that sort of that turning point moment? I imagine that's what it is, or that's what you're sort of foreshadowing. What happened at 32 that changed things for you?
Well, I remember distinctly being at a bar and ordering a drink, having one slid to me. I don't remember what it was. It was brown and it was straight up.
Ooh.
And so a Grand Marnier crown, I'm sure. And at that moment, I finally realized what they meant by don't worry about the next drink. Worry about the one that's in front of you. Worry about that one drink. And at that moment, I finally clicked that, like, they're talking about this one right here. Not the next one, not what you're going to do after that, but really this one. And all I had to do was say no to that one. And then when it came back again, all I had to do was say no to that one. So it just clicked for me. And that was, believe me, that was after a year in a 4-week program. So
Oh.
I went into a 4-week program. I got a DUI. And I was
Mm.
very lucky I had not hurt anybody and very thankful that really got pulled over. And in a company truck, my boss's truck, really is their personal truck, and got pulled over. And it took me about 2 years from that point when I moved to a city where I was like, I need to have a driver's license to work. So in order to get that, I had to go into an outpatient. And I think it was a 4-week program. It was, if I recall correctly, it was like 2 days a week from 5 to 7. And week 4 came around, and there's a drug test, and failed that drug test. And then it was like, oh well, I just need more help, and totally BS and everybody, and including myself. I'm sure they knew that. I'm sure they knew all of these sly tricks that I had.
Sure.
But then that went from 2 days, I think, to 3 days a week, 5 to 7, and then another drug test would come up. That was alcohol and cocaine were my two. One always went with the other.
Right.
And then the next one, then before that, I had to take the drug test. Then I went, oh, well, I just need more help. This really isn't working. I really want to get this, but, being in more tricks. So that went to 5 days a week, 5 days a week from 5 to 7. And I remember an instance in there when one of the guys in the group, I think there were 6 of us in the group, and I didn't know anyone before this, started pointing his finger at somebody else, and whatever he was saying or doing, but pointing the finger at somebody else. And I remember sitting up and just reminding him that he's in no position to be pointing fingers. And really from that point on, whether I started to talk or started to listen, I imagine it was both, but then it started to sink in like, oh, wait a minute, I think I imagine that I can make a change. Because before that, I didn't really think that I could change.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's a powerful moment. What is your thoughts on like these, like this one is more or less imposed upon you as far as the having to go to the treatment, extracurricular, shall we call it? What is your take on it? Did it shift? What is it? I guess the second part of that question is, how does it stand? Because we always hear the recurring theme that I've had with people that have come on the show is that it takes a few different elements, a combination of different things to have a successful recovery. So what element of that, or what foundation of that was that for you? Or was that like the primary, or is there a few other things that came in as well? Yeah, just what else can you tell us about like the outpatient side of things?
Well, there was a couple other things. A friend of mine had told me that he just couldn't allow me to be around his son
Oh, okay.
anymore. And understandably, he just never knew who was going to be there. Well, they did know who was going to be there. It was Heath, the drunk one,
Right.
And drunk or high or whatever, and just acting out of control, really. But trying to think here. All right, ask me that question one more time.
Yeah, so I guess there was two parts to it. So I'll start with part one. How did your opinion of the treatment shift? You kind of touched on it there, where you had a moment with the one gentleman that he's kind of pointing his finger, and then you had that realization that that you can change. So within that, how did your opinion of this treatment that's been imposed upon you change? Like, I imagine by the end of it, you're like, what it's for now. You're like, that did, either was there like a resentment initially, or an embarrassment, and then coming out the other side, what was the change of emotions, if anything?
Well, what I imagine that it really wasn't any resentment or anything. It was like, oh, well, I decided to do this. I'll just get through this 4 weeks. No big deal.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then when the other, task came up and the failures, this and that, I was just like, I'll just, whatever, no big deal. I'm still skating through, still go to AA. I can still drink. I can do all this other stuff half-assed, and and skate through it. And what really changed, just for you asking that question is, and maybe it was the fact that after talking that time and then really listening to others, maybe that's the first time I realized I could actually help not only myself, but others too.
So that was a big shift. And then, the second part of it was, so you have this treatment. What else did you use to get yourself through, like, into a successful recovery at that point? So you have your outpatient thing. What else were you kind of adding in there to kind of give you that support you needed?
Well, so during that, we had to go to a certain number of AA meetings. I want to say that was 1 or 2 a week. I don't remember exactly. And you had to have I don't even remember what they call them now. What's your support guy in AA?
Oh, sponsor?
Sponsor.
Yeah.
So you had to have a sponsor. And you had to go to a couple AAs or Al-Anon. I went to one of those, and that was, talk about scary.
Really interesting.
I mean, man, I never hit rock bottom, right? In my eyes.
Right.
Rock bottom is rock bottom. I mean, still got all the teeth. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't kill anyone. I all my limbs. So I didn't hit rock bottom. I hit some rocks on the way down. But thankfully I did not have to get there.
Right.
So that was one of the things that we used was AA, and I really do appreciate it. But I also did not enjoy AA. There was very few parts of it that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it also did help me, because I had to go do something, and I had that connection with my sponsor at the time too. A big piece for me too was just saying, wow, I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people there were people there that had been in AA for what, if I recall correctly, for a decade or two, that still were not where I would want to be today.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They were sober.
Yeah.
But, it was maybe just perception at that time. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, so definitely like some perspective. You got some good perspective from these, like
Oh yeah.
seeing other folks that are in different phases. You start getting this idea of like, gratitude that you didn't, like you say, you hit a few rocks, but you didn't, you know what I mean? There's a DUI and it sucks, but you didn't hurt anybody. You didn't hurt yourself. Right. So
I mean,
there's a,
I hurt people, right?
sure.
And I didn't physically hurt, like, and that was the biggest thing too, is like my buddy telling me that and me realizing that I'm losing the real friends,
Yeah.
because as well as I do, like your drinking buddies, like when
Yeah.
you stop drinking, they're not around.
All of a sudden they're not buddies. Yeah.
They're not. And it's not that they're bad, like that's fine, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So that really hit home. So during that, when I was in that outpatient, I actually invited a couple of those friends just to come to meetings, just as like, look, you mean a lot to me. I want you to know I'm doing this.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
And they came, which was great. The other thing, so you asked like what else I used, and this is one thing that I did not click with AA with, is like, you never want to replace alcohol with something. And I really beg to differ there. Because there is such a void when alcohol is your entire life. You had better start adding things, or you're gonna, whether that's learning self-care or fitness or adventure. And that's what I did. All of a sudden I had a lot of money. I was like, wow, this is amazing. Right.
Yeah.
So I started to work out. I started to, because of adventure, riding dirt bikes and wakeboarding, and getting back to doing the things that I really had not done for 15 years.
Right on. Yeah. No, that's a great way to, I totally agree with you too. Like, it's like, what else are you there's an energy, the void of all this, like of hiding, of, trying to get over on people, or trying to like hide from yourself almost, or like,
oh god,
so much energy involved in addiction. So you have to, it's like the Indiana Jones movie where you take something off, you got to put something on there pretty damn quick. Otherwise it's yeah. So I totally agree with you on that. And but it definitely resonates. The adventure side, the working out, very important. It kind of gets you that, a little bit of that, the good brain chemistry going on, some adrenaline, right? So, and that's what you're going to be missing. So yeah, no, I could see where that would work really well for you. So when you're now, fast forward, you're 32 and you are, I want to say, how far are you along now? 15 plus?
Yeah, September 25th will be 16.
Congrats, dude. Yeah,
Thanks,
that's
buddy.
awesome. 16, amazing stuff. So if you're still get the odd craving or the odd trigger shows up, like what do you do to manage that these days? Like do they come up? Is there still things that are seasons, times a day, like songs, like there's so many different things that could potentially.
No, I mean, I think about it occasionally. Like for instance, I went downstairs to get a bottle of champagne for what was it, Easter Sunday, right? We're having the kids, my kids' biological dad was coming over, and they were going to do mimosas. We did do mimosas, and I carried on for a split second. I was like, oh, I wonder what it would be like, to have like, and then I'm like, oh God, that just sounds awful.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it really, like, it's just,
Yeah.
it really does. Like, oh, would it be cool to be able to have a social drink? I mean, I guess, I think that often, oh, it'd be cool to go do that. And then, I mean, almost me, I'm like, but I really don't want to.
Right.
I really don't care. Cause like I said, I think that is the best way that I've ever heard it described. I was like, I'm allergic to it. And I guess, and ultimately I can tell you, I will feel awful the next day.
Right.
It took me 2 years after quitting drinking to realize how addicted I was to sugar.
Oh, interesting.
Just really, I drank, the drinks I drank were Ruppelmans and Grand Marnier, shots,
okay.
shots, and just so much sugar, such bad hangovers.
Oh yeah, no kidding. So did you like in early recovery, did you have quite a sweet tooth then? Were you like a big chocolate fiend?
Fast food,
yeah.
Sugar,
oh man. So just a picture of health. No. Hey, but at least you weren't drinking. So what now obviously different story. Your nutrition has had quite the uptick. When did that start factoring in? When did you get out of like the fast food and the junk food and putting that component in place?
It took a while. I would say that was about 2 years after I quit drinking. I actually got my captain's license and began doing running a boat for a parasail company here, my friend's parasail. And at that point, I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to eat healthier and take care of myself better. I just didn't actually understand what I was eating. So,
Okay.
Nature's Way granola bars and pasta for lunch. I was like, man, I am eating really well.
Yeah.
I'm really eating clean,
Yeah.
and I wasn't, but it was better. It was definitely better
Right.
than, oh, am I going to have Burger King, McDonald's, or Wendy's tonight?
Yeah, for sure. That resonates with me too a lot. I did the fast food diet for years and years. And yeah, it's so funny. It's like after you start watching some of these like Netflix food documentaries and figuring out, Nature's Way, I was all about it. It's got the word nature. It's got to be good. Granola, come on. And then you when you actually start looking at the labels, so yeah, it's kind of funny. I very much resonate with that. Yeah,
it's hard to find broth, chicken broth, beef broth without sugar in it.
Isn't that strange? Doesn't that seem strange? It's freaking broth.
It seems like it should be illegal.
Yeah. Right.
Must say sugar added.
Right.
It's crazy.
My favorite condiment of all time, ketchup, loaded with sugar. Come on.
Yeah.
It's freaking tomatoes, man. Why do they have to? Yeah. But
probably the second ingredient.
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah, exactly.
If not the first.
If not, yeah. I'm sure they somehow made it the first. They've had like liquid sugar in there, so it doesn't get all granular.
Tomato now means sugar paste.
Yeah.
I just changed it.
Bad, brutal. So you know what? Some of these other questions will go a little bit off script here because it's
cool.
Just in your different stage of sobriety. What else can we talk about it with that? So it's like 16 years coming up. Is there I always find this an interesting question to ask too. Is there like ever a feeling of like nostalgia with your drinking? Like, do you ever look back on it? Do you have a different relationship with it? You can actually look back on some of the good times that you had with a different light.
Oh yeah.
Or is it all just sort of like detached? You're like, no, that was that. Like,
I talk to buddies all the time that, some of my best friends are guys that, I was around then.
Interesting. Yeah.
Most of them are not and are gone, but we had a group of 8 of us that moved down here together where I live now, and I'm still in contact. I would still say that 2 to 4 of them are really close friends.
Okay.
So I look back on it, we just laugh and still tell stories, and I mean, we were all just dumb as a bag of rocks. I mean, the stuff that we got away with and did back then. And at the same time, like, man, it could have been so different. We were lucky to end up where we are, and just be grateful for what we have.
Sometimes it's like that. It's like man, it's a miracle that you're at a certain stage where like there's so many different things that could have just gone a little bit differently, and it would have been like completely different story. Yeah, especially when you throw in substances. What would you say to somebody that's either sober curious that's listening to this, or just in early stages of recovery? Like what sort of advice really resonates with you that you would lead with if you were to talk to somebody right now in that situation?
Well, what is the study that shows you're only going to be as good, and I'm paraphrasing here, as the 5 people that you spend the most time with? Right. So change your friends.
Yeah.
And it really, or if not change your friends, really look at it. Are those people doing what you want? And if what you want is to be able to drink casually, then you might want to change. You might want to rethink it, because most likely, if I can't speak for everybody, but if you're at this point where you're really thinking about change, which I did several times, like, oh, I'm just going to quit drinking, right? Oh yeah, I'm not going to drink tonight. Not going to drink this week. Yeah, right. Not going to drink for a month. Well, all right. Well, this time I'll do that again. Do it again later. And if you're in that path, you got to change your friends. You got to, and for me, like, having somebody that can really help you, and it's going to not force you, but allow you to talk, allow you to listen. And just discover that, you can make the change.
Yeah. No, good advice.
But being in the same spot in the same situation is going to make it extremely challenging in my eyes.
Totally. No, really good advice. No, it completely makes sense.
Because I will
Okay.
tell you with that too, is I didn't think I could live here on this Hilton Head. Oh, it's Hilton Head. All there is to do is drink. All there is to do is that.
Oh,
And then I
interesting.
actually moved away. My boss actually helped me. She's like, well, let's get you to Charleston so you're not living on Hilton Head anymore. And gave me a raise in a different position. I was very lucky.
Wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the place doesn't change the person. Right.
Right.
And you come, I'm back here and I've been back here for many years. So I haven't drank. Using the word sober is just very careful with that.
Yeah. No, I got you. Yeah.
And it's not the place that makes you drink. So the people I was hanging out with, the mindset that I had. And as I said, I wasn't a huge fan of AA, but it also helped me get sober. So I'm very thankful for AA.
Yeah. Not a huge fan, but thankful. There's a difference, right? Yeah.
And what I mean by that fan is like, I don't go regularly.
Yeah.
You know, and their people are, and that is their religion and they have to go.
Yeah.
And like, it's the 12-step thing and you got to stay on that. And if that's what they need, then that's what they should do.
Yeah, for sure. And let's make that clear. Like it's whatever works for you, right? Whatever combination of things, or if that's the one thing that keeps you where you got to go, then absolutely, for sure.
I think that was the reason with AA that I had that issues, because they're like, no, this is the way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like nutrition with somebody. I just had to talk today. I was like, well, you're different than I am.
For sure.
The only way for us to figure out what's right for you is to take it all away first. And then we add one thing in at a time, right? So take away the alcohol and then start adding in situations or other lifestyle changes, and
that's cool.
Hey, if I need to go to 6 AA meetings a week to keep me sober, then I better damn well be doing 6 AA meetings a week.
Yeah.
If I need nature, then I better be getting out in nature. And I can tell you that I need that just for my well-being.
Yeah. Right. No, I like your, the comparison to like the nutrition thing, right? Like, remove alcohol and then start adding, instead of like, certain like foods, it's like certain situations, right? Okay.
Add adventure, add a workout.
Adventure. Yeah.
Because some people try, you're going to work out 5 days a week. I'm like, what?
It's better than working out the arm, right?
Yeah. So, how about we go for a walk, or how about, everyone's different.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's, that's what makes it interesting with the show too, is figuring out that everybody's got a different formula, right? Everybody's got a different recipe for it, which is interesting. It's so cool. Okay. I got a couple of rapid fire questions. Heath, are you ready for rapid fire round?
Bring it.
Sounds good. Where did your energy go when you first sobered up? I guess you pretty much already answered this, but
I would say adventure.
Nice. Yeah. Excellent. Where did or does your life feel out of balance in regards to sobriety and recovery?
I need more adventure.
Ooh.
And I'm working on focusing on just as it's simple. When I say adventure too, like it can be getting out of my board.
Yeah.
Right? Go surfing, go paddleboarding, skateboarding, whatever that is. It's just, I have not been as good at scheduling fun first as I can be. So it's a focus for this week. I recommitted last week to 2 days of adventure this week and next. So
nice.
Back on it.
So exactly. You're putting it as a priority. Excellent. If there's one thing that you could add to your life right now, what would it be? Had a magic wand, one of those monkey paws from The Simpsons that grants you a wish. What would you do? What would you add to your life? What would enhance your life right now?
No, well, I'm going to go with it's specific, but I have really been craving like a property on the water, like on a river or a lake. Oh man. So I've been searching for that.
So that's the $1 million question. Which would you prefer, a lake or a river? Because some of good. Okay. Cause I thought you were going to say lake, because 90% of people say lake. Same thing, dude. River,
running water. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to be able to trout fish out my back door.
Oh, wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah. Yep. Excellent. Good answer. What are you listening to right now, as far as whether it could be music, audio book, podcast? What are you listening to these days?
Well, music, I am listening to, I just heard this new Killer Mike album, which
Killer
is really
Mike.
good.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I've never listened to him before. I caught it at the end of some movie or something. I was like, who is that?
Yeah.
And which I really think his lyrics, I think he's really good. And then
Cool.
podcasts, I'm back and forth on those. I listen to Smartless, Tim Ferriss, and Bill
Ooh.
Burr.
Oh man, good choices. Good choices.
Yeah.
Can't go wrong with those. Smartless is, yeah, it's great.
Well, you got a fellow Canadian in Smartless.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
of course. Yeah, I love it. If you could travel to one location on planet Earth, where would it be and why?
Man, one.
Yeah, just one.
Jeez. Well, it's got to be Africa.
Really? Okay. Ever
Wildlife.
been? Ever been?
Nope.
Okay. Cool. So
We're working on planning the trip now.
Really? Oh
Yep.
man, that's amazing.
Alaska and Africa are the two trips. Alaska, Africa, and Rome. Those are the three.
It's quite a mix. That's good. Yep. So Alaska, would you do like Denali? Are you going to do like something super hardcore, or just Alaska?
No, we would. It's probably be with the family, so we'll probably do like one of those small cruises with excursions.
Beautiful. Hey, that'd be
like 100, 200 person boat or something like that.
I shouldn't say always forget, but like Alaska's massive. Like when you actually look at it, it's like it's such a huge amount. And then I didn't realize. Again, it's probably something I learned when I was like grade 6 or something, how close it actually is to Russia. Like there's that, they almost touch, and there's that little weird island in between that's half Russia, half the States. Yep. It's so weird. Yeah, it's fascinating to think. It's quite the place though. Yeah, Alaska's good answers. Very good answers. Okay, and then this is my showstopper question here. This is when we'll wrap things up. What is the biggest thing you've always wanted to do but have not done yet? And what has been holding you back?
Have not done. Jeez.
I got this from Ben from Strong Coach, by the way. I stole it almost verbatim. I'm like, that's a fascinating question. I love it.
I don't know what I haven't done that I wanted to do. I think it would probably go back to the more travel. It's, it's Alaska and Africa. Like those are definitely top of the list. It's wildlife for me. I love wherever I can see wildlife is really the spot. Like Yellowstone's like my favorite place I've ever been to.
Really?
But I'm looking forward to this. Yeah. So I think it would just be traveling more.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. All right, Heath, anything that you'd like to plug? You got your business going on there. Any spots you'd like to, the listeners to be able to find you or interact with you online? Anything you'd like to put up as links?
Yeah, Active Life Hilton Head. Our main program right now is the power over Parkinson's and helping those touched by Parkinson's live their best life. So that's really, it's been really powerful and really cool adventure. So we just started that. We started about a year ago, but we're really pushing hard and switching many things over to that. You can find me on Active Life on LinkedIn, Heath A Babb on all the socials, although I'm not very active on those, or youractivelife.online.
So youractivelife.online. Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on today, Heath. Thanks for sharing your story and some of your insight as far as what worked for you in recovery and getting beyond recovery for that matter. Throw the title in there. Why not? And dude, thanks for everything you do. And you know what? It's going to be a great journey for these next few weeks. Strong Coach for myself is coming up in about 4 weeks. I'm graduating and we're going to go from there. But
dang, already.
Ooh. Yeah, it is coming up quickly. So, but I, again, can't thank you enough for everything you've done. And thanks for coming on the show today, my friend.
Thank you, brother.